Yeah, Mitch, I'll start with you. You spoke about, firstly today, how did you see the game? And it was an interesting one in terms of the way it played out. What were your thoughts?
It's always hard coming to a game, losing, arguably one of the best creators in the competition in Will Cummings, Gak, who's come back and hit some really good form. You're going against a team that is long, athletic, switches. It's really hard to kind of, think we're going to play freely and have an easy night or anything like that. No team is easy in this league. We understand that. But, when you got 7,500 fans cheering you on, that's a heck of a job. So the 7,500 that came tonight, hats off to all of them. That's essentially making up for Will and Gak. But I thought their physicality, we dealt with it really well. Between Tajir and Bull Kuol, they play really physical. They're picking you up full court and making life really tough. And, when they switch a lot, we have to be really creative in high-lows, mismatches. But in that, there's offensive rebounding opportunities. I thought Matt Kenyon, Craig Moller, myself, Sauce, even the guards were coming in, creating not just second-chance opportunities, but like third and fourth opportunities in possessions. And that was a real backbreaker for us, for them tonight.
Mike, Mitch touched on some of the inside work today, the rebounding and things. How key was that, and just keeping the turnovers down for you guys, considering Cummings wasn't around?
Yeah, huge possession game. Guys did a great job of continuing to attack those O boards, which was good. Took care of the ball for the most part. It was the little things like that were key for us.
Is that a bit more than what you were hoping for, to have that, like 6 turnovers, to have such good play inside, considering if you take Cummings out, you'd be worried?
Yeah, turnovers-wise, we started the season really taking care of the ball. I don't know what we were averaging, but it was below 10, and we've had a couple of bigger turnover games. So to keep turnovers down in front of a crowd over 7,500 was really special tonight.
Playing inside, Alan's been back now for quite a bit. How crucial is it that you got him, and then you also got Mitch as well, and you can get the post-ups and those buckets?
Yeah, they've been fantastic in attack mode. Just talking the offensive end, and I thought Mitch down the stretch I think there was like 3 possessions there where it was still, I feel like if it's still over a minute and we're not up by 15, it's still in the balance. But I thought, a lot of guys made big plays, but the mindset of getting 2 feet in the paint that Sauce and Mitch and Gary and Matt Kenyon Ruben Tarangi had been doing all night. I thought Mitch finished that off really well with some really big possessions late, just doing that, getting to the rim, asking the question, and finishing strong.
Mike, what's it been like these last 2 games, playing in basically 2,000 minutes for the entire stretch? Put aside whether you agree or disagree with the calls, but what's it like coaching in that environment?
I'm glad you asked. No, it's tough, I think, when you're consistently in foul trouble, or some guys on your team are in foul trouble. And we're trying to play a physical brand of basketball defensively. I was really proud of our guys. I told them, 3 quarters under 20 that we held Cairns to, and I'm sure 40 would say that they held themselves a little bit to that with missed free throws. Both teams missed free throws. It's difficult at times. We're really trying to preach staying in front of the ball, make guys go through your chest to get to the basket. And there's some calls that I didn't think I wasn't on the same page, I guess, with some of the calls that were made. So we need to, and Mitch and I were talking about this before we came in, we just need to keep watching those and trying to figure out exactly, what's what with how we're defending. But overall, it's difficult, and I think our guys played through it much better than we did last game in Brisbane, and I think that was a huge plus for us tonight.
How important some of those role players defensively for you guys, from Craig to Kenny and these guys who come in and get boards and then help defenders and things like that?
Yeah, it's super important through the group. We had a pretty rough film session. It wasn't negative. It was just like a learning session, and everybody was on it. So it was a track meet against Brisbane to the rim. We didn't step in front and make it difficult for them, and the guys saw that, and I think, I wasn't sure how that was going to come out, but it was much better today to at least make it difficult to get to the basket. We got back cut a few times. We got a few times we gave up straight line drives, but everybody, and Matt Kenyon set the tone tonight. Like, he was big time. Just played really good basketball, hit a big three, wasn't afraid to take that shot, back cuts himself, and then defensively, him, Gary, Ben Air, everybody was really big.
Cricky, there's been a few games at home this season that have kind of come down to the last few minutes and then really executing down the stretch. Tasmania, holding up New Zealand last week, and even today down the stretch. What do you think's been the difference between last year and this year in actually making those right plays, executing, knowing whose hands to put the ball and things like that?
It comes down to a little game flow with Mike and having a good communication process from the sideline to the guards, and even, in huddles. Like, our huddles have been really good. Last year they were a little sporadic and they weren't as consistent, and we can get in a huddle, I can look across and see Mike, and it's like, what are we in? And it's straight away, we already know, and then the group knows, we go out, we kind of execute. But then it's also having the poise to say in the heat of battle, like, who do we want the ball? Whose hands do we want it in? We want Source creating out of the elbow and their short roll, or on the block, or myself or Gary when Will's back as well. But even just like the simple basketball for us is really key right now. And when we over dribble, we don't get feet in the paint. That's when we look really bad. But when we know we move the ball, we get downhill. That's where I just remember switching at the end of the game and I see some of the big. I just literally, it sounds really funny, but I think of Triggy, Sam, and Mike being like feet in the paint. Like, get downhill, and instead of settling for, maybe the contested shot and trying to seal it the big way, you just give yourself a chance at the line to create, to distribute, or to finish, and that's better than just relying on a jump shot. So I just think we're in a much better position offensively, and I think that's not our issue at all. I think it's about getting stops and then putting the pressure on them to make, run and jump, switching, hustles, and then we get to attack the mismatches.
I imagine it also helps that you've got familiarity with Alan, with Gary. You and Gary played again in the off-season together as well, and you kind of have that connection now in terms of just knowing whose turn it is, and even defensively in terms of where to be and where the help's coming from.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think that the best thing for my off-season was the fact that we played so many games and people thought it was a big load, but the thing is, it's having chemistry with your starting point guard for another 7 or 8 months, and then coming back into it. And we got into it at halftime and we were barking at each other and really getting on each other, calling each other out. But then we walk out of that change room, we told each other we love each other, we gave each other a hug and a kiss, and that sounds really stupid, but that's where we're at. Like, we know we can trust each other. We know that when we're put in the fire, we're both going to come out polished and ready to go. And you get someone like Source who he's such a dominant focus and energy guy. The crowd gets involved. You've got 7,500 people tonight reacting when he reacts, and that's what you want from your emotional leaders on the court. And I know Gary will say he's not an emotional person. That's a little inside joke, but when you have guys reacting, as I said, you get 7,500 people cheering you on. It's hard not to make the right play.
Mike, did you get an explanation from the officials that bench tech supposedly that was called on Sam Wardenberg, I presume was on him, but they deemed that he'd actually checked out of the game and therefore it was a bench tech? Is that right? That was the explanation, that he wasn't sprinting off the floor when the technical was called. Okay. That he was already subbed out. Interesting. I didn't. I'd already used my challenge, so I couldn't.
I'd like to see you challenge that one.
That would have been great.
Mike, with Will, forgive if I've missed it. Is there a chance he's back next week, or is he going to have to sit for a couple?
I think there's a chance, but I wouldn't want to speak. I think it's kind of day by day, seeing how he gets better there. So, it's just a continuation of the same injury, and hopefully he's better. By training on Tuesday.
Mike, you spoke about wanting to get into that Boomers squad? The World Cup's happening now. Parish is coming up. After a fair few games to start the season, where do you think that sits now?
I think he would definitely help the Boomers, but I have no idea where it sits. I'm not in that conversation right now, but he's playing phenomenal basketball, and probably, and I haven't really even talked to him that much, but he's playing great team basketball. Like, I'm not sure what your numbers are right now, but I think a little down scoring from last year. His minutes are down a little bit, which I love because he's trying to play both ends of the floor. But he's playing really good basketball, and he's leading his group in a really positive way. So that's Boomers basketball, and that's what we're trying to infuse through the group a little bit, and Mitch is buying in. It's easier for me to say that after a win. After Brisbane, I wasn't so sure about him, but no, I think he'd help the Boomers. So I love the way he's playing, and he's playing at a very high level.
Mitch, can you give us an idea of what it's like when the game is so stop and start, to have someone like Alan there to not just give you energy on the court, but to lift you guys in the crowd and then get everyone else into it as well?
Yeah, I mean, you watch Sauce and I think the commentary team, and they kind of joke around about the many emotions that Sauce goes through and the reactions and celebrations he has, but it's infectious, and it's hard to come in to training every day into the locker room and have not just him but other personalities and energies in the team that are so positive and are so uplifting that it makes whatever shit you have going on in your life, when you come in, you kind of forget about it. It might only be for a few hours, but sometimes that relief of just not worrying about something that's maybe mentally or physically taxing on you or weight bearing, that kind of goes, and that lifts when you have great people around your ball club and around your organisation. And Sauce is an absolute incredible human. There's a reason why we brought him back for multiple years. There's a reason why he is who he is. There's a reason why people love him so much, not just in our group, not just in our team, but all around Australia and the world. It's because when you have someone like that, life becomes a little bit easier just to get through it sometimes, because it's hard, and with all the bad that's going on in the world, it's sometimes a nice distraction to come in and to be reminded that there is really good people in this world as well. And it's not just Sauce. There's a lot of people in our team that are so fantastic to be around, such incredible human beings. And I think that regardless of whose time it is to step up and to beat their chest or celebrate, sometimes it's the small victories on the sideline, the cheering, the Anzac Rosettos, the Luke Rosendales, the Cody Statmans, all the other guys that play a part and have great personalities and great energy. That's also a huge contributing factor. Sauce is amazing. We all know that, and that's a key figure at our club, but there's a lot of other really fantastic people that need a notable mention as well.
We're done, guys. Thank you.